everybody, and welcome to an Apple a Day with Dr. Amanda. So if you're in for the podcast, it will empower you to shift your mindset, and it goes on different topics like leadership, mental health, wellness, everything to help you become a better version of yourself. And if you're tuning in via YouTube and you like this, please like, share, and subscribe to my Dr. Amanda, an Apple a Day with Dr. Amanda YouTube channel. So, to begin, I want to make sure that you're excited about today's topic because it's all about health and wellness. And so I'm really excited for our guest, Javier Sanchez. And he is an actor, a screenwriter, and a fitness coach. He has worked on one-on-one personal fitness coaching online, and he also is working at Equinox fitness training in New York City. So it is such a delight to have you here.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, I was excited about this. Yeah,
I'm excited too. It's a great topic, and I think especially with the last couple months, I'm really excited to hear from you since you have such knowledge. And
I would argue that health and wellness is probably one of the aspects in life that should be the most crucial, especially now when we're existing in like such an interesting time. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, what does health and wellness mean to you?
I would say health and wellness would mean trying to execute the best version of yourself that you can be, whether that is through your activity, whether that is through the knowledge you're receiving, through the food that you're putting into your body, the activities that you like to partake in. I feel like it's just about kind of assembling all of those together to kind of build the best version of yourself. If one of these aspects aren't at the ideal mindset in terms of what you want to be, it's just about taking that as one aspect and seeing how it can be a little bit better, and then building up on all aspects to kind of become the best version of yourself. I feel like that in itself is health and wellness.
Yeah, thank you. So it's really a whole bunch of wholeness and
whole bunch of moving parts. Yes.
Yeah, no, that's really good. And it is a journey, right? I think sometimes people are doing well in all those areas, but you don't get to see the fruit of it because it's a different process for people.
Oh, 100%. Yes. And sometimes you don't see the fruit of it until it takes a couple weeks or a couple months till you can actually see the fruit of it. Like, for instance, I mean, I work with a lot of different clients, all varying from different goals, whether that's losing weight or building muscle or improving their overall health when it comes to just like having a stronger core so they can execute their job better and not have back problems, or when it comes to just playing with the kids and being healthy enough to even play with them and not be tired. So all the goals are different, and sometimes you don't see the fruit of what you're putting in, the work that you're putting in, until weeks and months in advance. For instance, if you're trying to build muscle and you're trying to shape the body that you want, and you're utilizing your energy in the gym and your nutrition, but you just don't see that until you're going through a cutting phase or a fat loss phase to kind of show your work that you've done. And with that, it's kind of crazy how health and wellness is also partnered with patience in a way. It's like you can't really have what you want right when you want it in the field of health and wellness. You kind of have to incorporate daily patience in order to get to what you want. Yeah.
And that's good too, because again, I just want to encourage the audience. So again, if you're tuning in to Javier, if you've seen a plateau, or if you're starting and you don't see things, right? And and you're going and you're consistent in, right? Consistency is key. But if you're not feeling discouraged, right? There's hope. It just may take a little longer, and that's really helpful,
100%. Yo, 100%. There's always hope. Nothing's ever permanent. Everything can be adapted, either with the habits or exertion of energy in the gym or nutrition. Everything could be adapted to get to where you want to be. That's what I always say. That's what I live by.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
So again, now we really kind of talk about that health and wellness and that wholeness. And what is your story? What is your story of health and wellness?
It was me. My story, I would say, was start when I was about 15. I was about 80 pounds more than what I am now. So I was about 240, rising above 240. And acting was actually the one thing that got me to start working out in general, because I saved up all this money. I was working as a busser in this Asia restaurant called Asia Oriental Cuisine. Shout out to them. But I was working because they lived right next to where I lived. I was working as a busser, saved all year to go to this acting school. I got accepted to for a month in Manhattan. So I went in, and I knew when I got accepted that I had about 8 months to work out. And I knew that me performing in the body that I was existing in was only going to hinder my performance and not really show what I was capable of because of the insecurities that I was filled with when it comes to me, myself, and my body. So I decided to start at home. I was doing at-home workout videos. I would wake up 5 a.m. before school and just knock those out. I had no idea of the power of nutrition and was not utilizing that aspect at all. I was just thinking sweat, work, and then you'll eventually get there. And I did lose some weight, but I feel like I really lost a lot of my progress came from owning nutrition in my lifestyle, learning about that, and executing that properly to match my goals specifically. But it was hard. I mean, I'm not the type of person, I'm not the type of trainer or fitness coach that started with just building muscle and then got the physique. I had to really work to lose all that weight. And it was just, I don't think, I understand and empathize when people are trying to lose weight because it is a difficult process and it can be emotionally draining. And it is almost like visualize something that you cannot see and it seems so far. But I always tell people that there is hope no matter how far you are. And that it just takes day by day effort and consistency in order to get there. It's almost about changing your mindset on how to live life rather than changing your mindset on what to do to get there. You know what I mean? In order to kind of enjoy the journey, so-called, that you say.
Yeah. And I like that because it's almost like being in that moment. And do you find, like, I mean, basically, like, if you're doing that consistently every day, it almost becomes, it is that lifestyle, right? Like, you're just naturally going into that with that mindset.
100%. Yeah. 100%. It's not, it becomes easier. It doesn't ever get easy, I would say. Like, it shouldn't ever get easy ever, even if like you are at the spot that you want to be. You should still be working hard in order to progress and even get further. But it does the action, the implementation of getting to where you want to be, that gets easier. It doesn't become such a burden to like apply the habits are already kind of like instilled in, which is huge because once they're instilled, it's just like a smooth ride there. You just kind of have to hold on. Yeah.
Good. No,
Yeah.
I like that. And I think, again, encouragement for people, because, there's different things that happen to your body. There's different things, and we're not going to probably go into today, like, but trauma, right?
Huge. Huge.
That impacts, the body and even like different processes. So again, some of you listening, I'm always thinking about, there's that range of people. It's okay, right? So hopefully you're getting tips from people, from Javier. And again, he's had a journey, right? We all do, like, every day. And I like what you said, Javier, was that what stuck out, you said, was every day you want to keep getting better. So it's not like we're going to be stagnant, right, in one place. You're constantly saying, hey, I want to continue, on this journey, and how can I continue to do that? So I love that.
It's almost like having a voice, like an inner voice inside of you that's like your engine. Like, if you imagine an engine as a voice, it's like almost like creating that inside of you. And then once you have that, it's kind of like you are thinking every day, like, what can I do? Even if it's a rest day, I'm not supposed to work out. But what can I do that can get me towards my goal? So I don't need to work out today because I already worked out with my rest day, but I can make sure that I'm eating well. I can make sure that my water intake is good. So there's all these other things that you can do that kind of has your eye on the prize the entire time. So I would say that, yeah, it's huge.
Those are practical tips, right? And we can, probably get into that a little bit, but that water and everything else. So those are some, seemingly small things that probably can make a difference. That's really helpful.
Go a long way, yeah.
Yeah. So thinking, just even with your story, what are some core principles that are so important to you in your lifestyle?
I would say patience. I'm going back to patience, just because you need it for like anything. So I would say patience. I would say education. So kind of having the education. I find I've been working with clients for about 5 years now, ranging from age 16 to 60s. So I find what gets people and holds people back the most is the education aspect of it. So that's what utilizing best with working with a fitness coach is you kind of get that education right off the bat. So you don't spend years and years and years of time collecting this education. You actually have a tool right in front of you that has it. So someone to learn from. So I think education is huge. It's one of the biggest setbacks for most people. And also, like, I would say in terms of health and wellness, I'm more of a visual person. I don't know if it's the artistic side of myself, but I find that if I can visualize something it almost becomes like if I'm already there, like I already existed in it. So in terms of a practice that I used to help me to visually fuel myself to get to where I wanted to be was I would usually look in the mirror. Always before taking a shower, which is something I feel like everyone does. Like, let's be honest, we just look in the mirror, just take that second, you know what I mean? Whether it's that pep talk, like whatever it is. But I would look in the mirror and I would visualize the body that I wanted. And I would see it as if it was real and it was there. And I just thought, like, all you have to do is just work every day to get to that point. And you get to that point and it's gonna get closer and closer and closer and closer. And then eventually you'll look and then it will be there. But it will take patience and it will take knowledge to get to that point, I think. So those are core principles. But what with you, what do you think will be your core principles? Because you have your own kind of amazing journey as well.
Yeah, I have had a big journey. I think for me, similar to you, I think patience, and that's a really helpful reminder, you know, especially on my journey, because I think patience, sometimes you want to give up, right? Like it can be really hard. And if you've had trauma, you know, or if you've had different backgrounds, you had that, you know, sometimes our body works a little different. And I know for some of you guys, we've had, and Javier, in the past, I had a speaker talk about, you know, how our body can keep emotion. So sometimes some of us may be internalizing a lot of that. So it is going through the emotional stuff to see the physical. And so for some people, it may not be, right? And it is a mindset. So I think for me, like what I've been doing, and again, sometimes it could be hard because you don't see it happening, right? So I always ask that because, you know, for months I've just been like, you know, doing a routine. So it's like, you know, okay, am I drinking my gallon of water? You know, am I drinking tea? You know, and like you said, kind of visualize. And actually, like when you've gone through trauma or different things, I won't go into too much, but sometimes it's saying to your body, it's okay to be, you're safe. And it's okay to release, you know, anything that was trying to keep you hidden. You know, so some of you in the audience may even feel that way. And sometimes that's a protector. And I think also I'm just like, wow, like, you know, just notice things that people don't see on your body. Like for me, it's amazing, you know, I'm able to walk up like hills and everything. I'm not, you know what I mean? Like I can walk an hour and a half, you know, I'm doing like different stuff with like, you know, fitness, online fitness things. And it's not hard. You know, I think like those are little things that people may not see physically, right? That's that concern. So those are just some core principles I've had to do is, okay, what am I doing every day just during the day? And I'm like, oh, like I'm drinking my water and it's natural, you know? So I think, and the other thing for me was I kind of added one little thing at a time. You know what I mean? Because if you try to do everything, I don't know about you, but if you try to do everything all at once, it kind of becomes overwhelming. And so I think it's just been important. Like I kind of just add some more things in as I go and I'm comfortable with the one. So it's just routine. So I don't know.
Right. I think that's huge, especially with going back to tying into when you said some people even give up. I think it's the small wins that keep you going, I think. And even going back to like, if we were talking about like, okay, some people do give up and that's a real reality, especially in getting into a fitness journey through beginning or even towards like the end, closer to your goal. I've seen that happen as well. There's this type of like, I understand and empathize when it gets really difficult, you know, because like I remember when I was working on the basement, when I was doing all those videos, first some of the heaviest ever I was. And I remember just like, sometimes you cry mid-workout. Sometimes workouts are an emotional thing that are just between you and whatever you got to go through, you know, and sometimes you have to sweat out all this stuff. But I would cry just because I wasn't able to do something that I really wanted to do, but my body just wasn't letting me. And I could have given up, or I could have just kept going and taking that in to push you to motivate even more. But I feel like once you do that, and you focus on the small rather than how far you are from getting to where you want to be, an extra like $20 on the bill, like $20 on the ground that you picked up. You're like, okay, cool, I can use this. And then you grab another one and another one and another one. And then you have like and the weird analogy, but like gold in the end of the rainbow type thing. So whatever. But I feel like, yeah, that's like, it's kind of like that. So in terms of like giving up, which is a really real thing, I always go back to like, what is the alternative? I tell myself, what's the alternative? You can give up. Cool. What's the alternative when you're giving up? So you're going back to where you were. Okay. You know what that looks like. You know how you feel when you're in that area. Then just keep going. Because what's the alternative? Going back? It's not. You already know how that is. So you might as well just go straight forward. And I tell myself all that in terms of a lot of areas outside of health and wellness at all. what the alternative question kind of helps me get through things.
To ask, like that's all goes back to mindset, right? Because, all of us, you're going to live. I mean, I know sometimes I hear a lot, with diet or other stuff, but I don't necessarily think that sticks. But, versus, okay, I'm going to a party, maybe I have something I normally don't eat, right? And it's just a meal, you know what I mean? Versus, yes, it's food for fuel, and that's a mindset versus, oh, I can't have XYZ. Now, there are some people, again, as you're going through a journey, sometimes there's stuff going on with your gut and you have to heal. So you're off different things. But, a lot of times with restriction, I don't know, you can probably talk to this, it may not be so great, but I feel like once you're in a consistent routine, like even for me, if I have like a day where I'm just like, having like a day, which, has really come few and far between, just because of my personal choices with it. But if I notice, like, I'm like, I don't really desire that, because I've just kind of changed so much that it's like not really on. If I have it, it's not like I need it again. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right. I feel like everything without, for me personally, I can't speak for any other coach, but the training and nutrition for each of my clients is different for every client. I never really give like a plan right off the bat. It's more like, how are you as an individual? What's your personality like? What's your relationship with food like been in the past? Because these questions are going to help me be able to coach you best when it comes to nutrition aspect of life, because it's different for everyone. Some of my clients do very well with tracking macros and flexible dieting. Some of my clients do well with paleo. Some of my clients do well with whole foods and just thinking whole foods, and then 80-20 rule type thing. And then some of my clients are good with intermittent fasting and eating a specific window of time. So it's all very different, and all my clients use food very different in their lives, but it's more about seeing what works best for your personality, what works best for your lifestyle in general, and then going from there. So there's no really like a one shoe size fits all when it comes to nutrition or health and wellness in general, I think.
Yeah, and that's good, and it could shift, but it's good to hear that, because I was going to ask you like what kind of plans you might have, just so the audience might hear, what kind of plans. But it's great to hear that, again, you tailor it based on what their goals are, because that's
100%,
possible, right?
Yeah.
You can have nutrition look a little differently depending on the person, and that can happen. So that's really helpful. So again, if you are interested, it's good to know that there's trainers out there that are giving nutrition background, but altering it to what's your lifestyle,
looking at the individual itself. It's lose weight, cool, we're gonna just have you sweat, this is your thing and that's it, and that's okay. That's easy to do, honestly. But when it comes to needs first, maybe losing weight isn't, you want that right now, but your body needs something first before you get to that point. And that's what's going to get you farther so you can reach goal. That is that first one. So I always see kind of what they need in front of me, what they need, what their goals are, and where they are now, and then kind of make a program customized just specifically for them, and that gets them in their goal. It's kind of ushering them. I think, is it the teaching and just saying or just telling, commanding.
They actually are part of the process for them. And I just have just a curious question. You're talking about this. What are you worked with clients? What was one of you loved seeing? So I know you said, you kind of were working with people, but what was one of the ones where it was like the mindset shifted and you got to see the fruit of it, like, or the process? I'm just curious.
Oh my God, okay. Oh my God, I don't know which one to talk. Okay. Okay, so I think I'll talk about this one is very different because she's just very different than all the other success stories. But her name is Amber. I was training with her close to a year. She had the goal of losing weight, specifically, and just being having a healthier version of herself, just health and wellness kind of help that she can have. But she had a brain condition, a neurological condition. I forgot the name. It was a really long name, but basically she would suffer from really intense migraines that would leave her kind of like not being able to vision, and then just kind of everything was shaking and she's kind of just on the floor type thing. So we would have that's the person that's coming into me. I'm like, okay. So it started with her kind of us just doing one set of exercises, and we had a number scale going on. So it was like a 1, you're good to go, you're ready to work out. A 10, everything is shaking and we need to just sit down on the floor for a little bit. So we had this number system throughout every single exercise. I would ask her, what number are you at? And she would tell me a number. Sometimes it would be doing just one set of exercises and she'd be right to an 8. That's how it was in the beginning. So it was kind of like really, really slow, kind of only a couple exercises were into an hour session. And now her main goal by the end of, I believe, the year, this 8 months that I was with her, she wanted to hula hoop and read at the same time. It's something that she really wanted to do that she wasn't able to do for a long time. And before I stopped working with her because I was moving to New York, the last session we had, she hula hooped, and it was amazing. And it can show you that goals don't need to be just for health and wellness goals. It doesn't need to be just for physique, you know, or just for how you look. It can be for how you live, how your lifestyle is. And now she can be on the treadmill and read a book because she loves to read. She's a teacher. She's a children's teacher. So she can now read books and do cardio at the same time. She can hula hoop and read around the house if she wants to, or in the kids' room. So that was one thing that I was really proud of. Almost brought me to tears. I was so excited.
Yeah, I mean, that's powerful. You know, I mean, I
Yeah.
don't know that I personally would want to hula hoop.
I know. It's very difficult, first of all. Very difficult. Yes.
And I'm like on reading a book and on the treadmill, I can see me being on one of those funny videos. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like, but that's amazing that someone else wanted to do that, you know?
Yeah, yeah. So anything's possible, no matter where you're at. Anything is possible, I would say.
I love that. And there's a lot of wisdom. So I know, you know, as we're going in our time, I loved, you know, that we were talking about a lot of different aspects of you and your clients and even just the struggles with this. Is there any like one triumph in any of your struggles or triumphs that you loved, like something that's stuck with you to this day?
My personal journey.
I know you shared some, but is there anything that you like, even with like the struggle of like one phase to another, or like, you know, something that kind of stuck out to you that I feel like you might have already talked about it with that empathy or like understanding clients, but is there anything else that stood out about that?
I would say in terms of myself, for my journey, the triumph that I felt like everything changed after was understanding the power of nutrition in terms of executing it to match what I want. Just because coming from where I started, I was killing myself with like the at-home workouts, but I was eating Chinese food for dinner that was like filled with a lot of stuff that I haven't had Chinese meal in a long time, but like that stuff that's good for occasional, you know, but like I was having that multiple times a week. I did not understand nutrition itself in terms of getting results. And it's almost like 70% of it. And I always say, if you're not really focusing on nutrition, so I feel like it took me about 7 years to get to where I wanted to be. And I literally tell my clients, like, it doesn't need to take you 7 years. If you have, I feel like a coach that's there, that can get you from point A to point Z, not just A to B, but to Z without any interruptions, because we know kind of the science behind what you're doing. It's kind of like, you're not wasting time. And I feel like in the end of the day, it's just about time. And it's just about either getting to your goal as fast as possible, or you can go through the trial and error phase that I did that took years, essentially, to kind of get to where I am now. I would say that.
Good. Thank you. Yeah. So again, nutrition being key, and that consistency, and really knowing, you know, like nutrition's key, but it seems like, what's your goal, right? Because you said nutrition needs to match your goals. That's really helpful to know. So in terms of anything else, I guess when I'm looking at this, are there any resources or books or anything that you would recommend to, again, for the podcast, the audience to read, or even on the YouTube?
Yes. Actually, I would say top book that I give, it's literally on the programs of every single new onboarding client of mine, is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Amazing. I recently actually read this book in the beginning of this year. And I wish I had it in the beginning of my fitness journey, honestly, because it breaks down habits and breaks down how to identify habits and how to customize habits to get to where you want to be, and how to deconstruct the bad ones and uproot the good ones. It's like, and explains it in a very an easy way to understand way, in a way that kind of just makes sense. Like, oh yeah, you're right. That's exactly how it is. So once I read that, I was like, oh, this is brilliant. So okay. I have all my clients, I suggest that to all my clients. So I would say that.
And that's great. So again, you know, if you are out there, make sure you check it out. Atomic Habits. Okay.
By James Clear.
And so I'll also post that, you know, again, for the podcast, you'll see that on the interview description with Javi. And I'll also be putting that on the YouTube so everybody can see. You already saw it, but you also get those resources. So, okay. final question for you, unless you have questions or you're thinking of anything else, I'd like to add on a wisdom tip. But if you have something else you want to share to the audience, I know you've given so much wisdom today, so many different golden nuggets about your journey. But I always like us to end on that wisdom, right? We got a lot of daily dose of wisdom today, but something. But before that, is there anything else you want to share about, wellness and health and wellness?
I'm just thinking about like this specific type time that we're in right now, like with COVID and everything. I would say do what you can to learn what you can. So if you feel like, one, just identifying yourself, do you feel like you are at a good spot in terms of health and wellness? If it's a yes or no question, if it's yes, continue on and learn. I would even say even more. But if it's a no, then find areas that you feel like you can improve upon. Okay. And then find those areas and then learn about those areas. Learn ways that you can improve those areas. And we have the internet, we have time right now. I would thoroughly advise either reading the Atomic Habits book, or looking up stuff on the internet and seeing how you can improve yourself as an individual. I would say doing that will do furthermore when it comes to growing your health and wellness in the next 5 years than anything else. So I would say that as well.